That's my Bahama land, yeah. Friends in every place, a smile on every face. Children at play, time with family today. Someone fill my plate, homemade bread, I can't wait. I can't get enough, I will always stay in touch with my Bahama land, yeah.
Rev Voice introduces Bahamaland, an unlimited nationwide calling plan for only $5 a month. So call home today and connect again with Bahamaland. Home never felt so close.
My Bahama land, yeah.
Coming up tonight on NB12 Weekend, nearly a year after the tragic Mayaguana plane crash, upgrades to that island's runway nearing completion.
I feel very satisfied that we are making that progress.
The Minister of State for Finance responds to recent calls for a budget cap.
We enforce our own brand of fiscal rule.
2013 reportedly a bad year for the country's hotel industry. Meantime, tourism officials announcing their latest promotion.
16 destination or signature weddings, 16 different islands, 16 couples.
And BTVI gets a new board. We've got those stories and much more for you tonight. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Good Saturday evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Cable 12 Studios. Topping news tonight, government officials flew into Mayaguana this morning to show the press just how far they've come in upgrading that island's airport and runway. After months of construction, developers will be finished with the runway in less than 2 weeks. Dana Smith was there and filed this report.
Mayaguana's airport runway should be completed in about 10 to 12 days. Officials flew into Mayaguana today to give an update on the ongoing efforts at this airport. The update on the runway comes less than a year after 3 people tragically died.
Mayaguana V. Alfred Gray, Civil Aviation Director Patrick Roll, as well as Transport and Aviation Ministers Glenys Hannah Martin and Hope Strawn met with I-Group developers on the ground in Mayaguana, where they viewed the work at the airport. Hannah Martin said she was satisfied by the progress made thus far and by the impending completion of the runway.
What is happening today is critical on a number of intangible levels and tangible levels. I feel very good about it. It was a seriously concerted effort that required a sustained, focused presence.
Mayaguana's runway became a point of political contention after the April 4th tragedy that claimed 3 lives. In the early morning hours of that day, while attempting to land on the runway, which lacked lighting and had to be lit by the headlights of parked cars, a plane clipped one of the cars, killing the 3 people inside. Hannah Martin said today temporary solar lights are in place at the old runway, which is still in use until the new one is completed in a matter of days. Permanent lights will be installed on the new runway once the paving is complete. Hannah Martin told the press the government has worked closely with the I-Group to ensure a timely completion.
We wanted to continuously express the government's utmost anxiety that this runway be completed in the shortest possible time. And so today I feel very satisfied that we are making that progress.
Local residents said the new runway is long overdue. Iris Charlton said the importance of having an upgraded runway was highlighted by that devastating accident.
After the incident that we had in April of last year, we realized that it was critical that this airport got fixed, and today we're pleased with the progress that has been made so far.
It means a whole lot to me, actually. It's been long overdue. It is badly needed. While we appreciate the service that Lee Air is offering, I'm sure, the people, they long for better.
For his part, Mayaguana V. Alfred Gray said he's hoping the completion of the airport will stimulate the island's economy, which he said is tied to the government's agreement with the I-Group. He said he and the people of Mayaguana are expecting more developments, and he intends to keep an eye on things.
it is expected that the I Group, having had 3,000 acres of land given to them for development, that they will get on with it.
Gray said he will speak with developers to ascertain their position. With the agreement having been signed more than 2 years ago, Gray said he's disappointed with the progress thus far.
The agreement was signed almost two and a half years ago for the development of Mayaguana. And having to convey 3,000 acres of land by the former administration and nothing happened to date, it saddens me, it disappoints me, and I've expressed my disappointment. But that's not to say that nothing else will happen.
Gray said he thanks the I Group for their work on the airport and the runway, which will be able to accommodate larger aircrafts and more frequent flights. Bahamas Air currently flies into Mayaguana twice a week via the airline Lear, something Gray called unacceptable. Hannah Martin said limited airlift into Mayaguana has led to feelings of isolation among locals. Civil Aviation Director Captain Patrick Roll confirmed the upgraded runway will be able to accommodate those larger aircraft, and he's delighted that it will be realized before the month is over.
I'm just elated that all of the work that has been placed into this is finally coming to an end, and so we can get on with the real business of getting the commerce back in here and getting Mayaguana up and running again.
Once the airport is complete, officials hope to see an increase in airlift to the island. From Mayaguana, Dana Smith, NB12 Weekend.
During this week's mid-year budget exercise, the government once again made it known publicly that it intends to reduce spending going forward. But according to Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis, it won't involve a budget cap. The International Monetary Fund and the Coalition for Responsible Taxation have both recently called for the government to put in place budget caps, a fiscal rule governing its spending. But Halkitis says the government exercises its own brand of fiscal discipline, suggesting that calls for more stringent budget caps or fiscal rules could limit necessary flexibility in the operation of government's finances. He said government already voluntarily operates within certain parameters when it comes to spending.
We have a de facto fiscal rule. We know, for example, we look at what our debt is. We know what we can roughly estimate what we'll collect in revenue based on our tax system and how we project the economy will grow. And so we enforce our own brand of fiscal rule in that we know if we are projecting that we will take in $1 billion in revenue, we can't go and commit to spend $2 billion, or else, the debt explodes.
In a release issued last month, the IMF said that the Bahamas is recovering at a painfully slow pace from the effects of the global financial crisis. The institution added that the introduction of a fiscal rule would enhance the predictability and credibility of budget policies. Halkitis said that it is possible the government may consider such a rule eventually, but this must be balanced against the need for flexibility.
What they were speaking about is some sort of hard rule or even legislation to say, some states in the U.S. have, and the U.S. has debated it for a long time too, this sort of balanced budget amendment where you're required by law to balance the budget. I don't think we've debated that too much here. We sort of impose a self-discipline to say that, okay, we recognize we have to operate in these parameters. Maybe eventually we'll get to it, but I think governments always want to have the flexibility that, for unforeseen circumstances.
During his budget communication Wednesday, Prime Minister Perry Christie said the government is on track to meet and potentially exceed its deficit reduction target for the year. In other news, a 4-year trend of improving income in one area of the Bahamian tourism industry has been reversed. The Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association is reporting that more hotels failed to turn in profit in 2013 than those that did. BHTA President Stuart Bowe expressed great concern over the decline in hotel performance last year after a poll showed that more than half of the hotels surveyed were unprofitable. A survey of 31 hotels of all size levels taken in January shows that 47% of all properties recorded a net loss last year, up from 33% in 2012 and 41% in 2011. 47% of hotels turned a profit, while 6% broke even. High utility costs, constraints on price increases, and investments in capital projects were named as major contributing factors. In a memo to BHTA members this week, Bo also highlighted challenges relating to the composition of visitor arrivals, noting more needs to be done to increase visitor stopover numbers. He said their expenditure is 20 times more than that of cruise guests on average. On the bright side, the industry is more positive than it's been since 2007 about its outlook, with 97% of hotels reporting that they expect better performance in the coming year. Now, Bo told Guardian Business recently that the BHTA expects to see some increase in the level of stopover visitors to the Bahamas this year, driven in the short term by more aggressive marketing, additional airlift, and more groups and special events business. Well, speaking of special promotions to attract visitors, the Ministry of Tourism yesterday launched a new initiative in the United States, which is expected to attract more than 100,000 people to the islands of the Bahamas next year. 16 weddings, 16 islands, one priceless day was announced in New York to dozens of writers who the ministry hopes will help spread the word about the promotion. It extends an invitation to engaged couples throughout the United States to learn about and possibly experience the 16 major islands of the Bahamas. Tourism Minister Obi Wilscombe says this promotion will attract visitors to the many family islands that often get overlooked.
For the next several months, we're hoping that as people register and they tell us why they want to come to the Bahamas, they'll get to see the places. They'll get to know that the Bahamas is more than the capital city. They'll get to know that there are other islands that you can come to the Bahamas and you can set your own plan. You can have this wonderful day and have this wonderful celebration. You know, last year, which is very important, last year more than 100,000 came to the Bahamas to enjoy this romantic experience. And over the past 10 years, more than 1 million came connected to some wedding. So just imagine what we can do.
Now, at the end of the promotion, 16 lucky couples will get their dream island wedding on January 16, 2015, each on a different family island. The launch event was held at a trendy New York restaurant on Valentine's Day, and Tourism Director of Romance Frida Malcolm explained why officials chose that city for the launch.
New York really is one of our major feeder markets, that is for the islands of the Bahamas. So we are offering 16 couples an opportunity to vie for 16 destination or signature weddings. 16 different islands, 16 couples. It is open to the general public. Couples can upload their entry onto Bahamas.com. The closing date will be the 13th of June.
And along with the launch, a billboard advertising the promotion was unveiled in New York City's Times Square yesterday. That billboard will be displayed throughout the United States. The same ad will be used in various social media campaigns. Well, that brings us to our first break tonight. Still to come on NB12 Weekend, BTVI gets its first board of directors.
But moving forward, BTVI will essentially be on the same footing as the College of the Bahamas.
We'll tell you all about it later on in tonight's news. But first, the opposition's deputy leader slams the state minister of national security, who recently chastised the opposition for comments about the police commissioner.
I think Bell needs to look at the way the commissioner himself has been ridiculed by no less a person than the Prime Minister of the Bahamas.
NB12 Weekend returns after this break.